one of the biggest things, like I said, is trying to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. That sleep regularity is really important. And the reason for that is because your circadian rhythm, your core temperature is doing that cyclical change. And so if you stay up even like an hour or two later than normal, your core body temperature is still going to drop at the same time. It like is agnostic to when you actually fall asleep. It's like, this is my rhythm. I'm going to follow this. And so you will miss a good chunk of your deep sleep.
Is that why I fall asleep watching TV on the couch? Hey everybody, I'm Lori Schulweiss.
And I'm Jen Giamo.
And welcome to another episode of Everybody Talks, the podcast where we explore the wide world of wellness. Sometimes we talk to experts, sometimes we just talk to each other, but we're always talking to you. And then don't forget, if you want to watch this episode, go to our YouTube channel at Everybody Talks Podcast.
Every week, we discuss topics from nutrition and exercise to mindfulness and self-care. And today, we are talking about the true definition of self-care, sleep.
Yes.
As the director of science and clinical research at 8 Sleep, she leads groundbreaking research on how temperature impacts sleep and overall health. With a PhD in physiology from Stanford University, she specializes in thermoregulation, exercise physiology, and wearable health technology. Her work helps validate biometric data and optimize the performance of sleep tracking devices, giving people deeper, more restorative sleep.
Having also led research teams at Whoop, Kenzen, and Fitbit, she champions inclusive research and drives publication of peer-reviewed evidence demonstrating real-world benefits of 8 Sleep's technology. And she's here today to share insights on sleep optimization, something we all want to be optimized about, the science behind better recovery, and how you can sleep your way to peak performance. Please welcome from 8 Sleep, Nicole Moyen. Nicole, welcome to Everybody Talks. We're happy to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to talk about sleep.
I'm
gonna need a nap after this.
I know. It's also like one of our I think one of the most popular things. Like Jen and I were at an event last night and noticed our Aura rings and was like, oh, you wear one? Is the first thing you do check on your sleep? And that's the first thing I do when I get up in the morning. I can't wait to see how I slept. But why don't we start with a little bit about you and how you got involved in this type of research and how you got your start?
Sure. So, I played soccer in college and in Evansville, Indiana. And so it was extremely hot and humid. And I just remember just sweating so much every time it was preseason. We'd go out there training twice a day. And so when I went to my master's degree, my advisor at the time was like, hey, have you ever thought about how heat and humidity affect performance? And I'm like, no, I never thought. I mean, I know it sucks, but I never like thought about it from research perspective. He's like, surprisingly, we don't really know how increasing levels of humidity affect performance. And so that was my start in temperature regulation. And since then, I've really just been studying how different environmental stressors impact the body, temperature regulation, hydration, and then worked at various wearable companies. And when I got the chance to work at 8 Sleep, it was a really unique opportunity because I had never thought about temperature regulation during sleep. I had mostly studied it during exercise, or just like sitting in the heat or cold. So this was like a really cool way to dive into something new for me, and been there about 3.5 years and have really just learned a lot about sleep and temperature regulation and how important it is. And it's exciting because we're really at the frontier of this area of research.
So let's start with exactly what that is, the thermoregulation, and why does it matter, to keep you healthy?
Yeah. So, I mean, thermoregulation, for those that don't know, is just a fancy way of saying temperature regulation. And we like to keep our body as mammals at a certain set temperature and within a certain range. And we do this by widening our vessels, sending blood to the arms and legs. We also do this by sweating. And then we try to keep our body heat in by shivering. So those are kind of the 3 main ways that we regulate body temperature without you doing anything, right? Passively regulating. The active regulation could be, I'm too hot, I'm going to go seek shade. I'm going to take off layers of clothing, jump in cold water, or I'm going to put on more layers. So those are like, that's all falls under temperature regulation or thermoregulation. And the main reason for this, I mean, aside from the obvious things of like, if you get too cold, you die. If you get too hot, you die, right? Like that's the obvious
totally
answer to the question, but
Right.
I'm assuming that's not what you're asking. So
Yeah.
The main reason is everything in your body has to function with or does function within this really tight temperature range. And so if if you think about this optimal temperature range of like your house that you prefer, right? And your house and certain things in your I guess a good example is water. If you make it really cold, it's going to freeze into an ice cube. If you make it really hot, it boils and evaporates. You have a lot of things in your body that are similar to that. So the chemical processes will change when you change the temperature of your cells. And so we function best at a certain temperature range. And if we get outside that, then even if it's not a death experience or like near death, it still stresses the body in ways that aren't beneficial.
So, Nicole, is it different for different people? I mean, I know we're going to talk about women in midlife and all of that, but is it different? Like when you say that optimal temperature, I feel like, I can walk into someone's house and I think it's like super hot in there. And they're like, oh, what are you talking about? It's 68 degrees. It's cold.
Right.
So, how does that work?
Yeah. So that happens for women at various stages across life, right? So if you think about your menstrual cycle, it starts as early as that, where your body is warmer during your luteal phase or after ovulation. And then it's coolest during when you actually have your period. So we have that during the menstrual cycle, and that's all regulated by our hormones. And on a larger scale, we see that with menopause. And what happens is that your body has this sort of set point and it says, okay, I'm really safe in these temperatures. And once your body temperature starts to go outside of that temperature, it's like the thermostat of your home, right? And that thermostat's in your brain. And so once you start to hit that upper end, your body's like, we need to start sweating. We need to send blood flow to the periphery to keep us cool and keep us regulating temperature optimally. And in menopause, that set point narrows, so what previously felt like a good temperature or what might feel like a good temperature to people not who are not menopausal would feel very hot to you, right? And your body's going to be like, "Hey, we're too hot. We're too hot. We have to do something. Let's start sweating. Let's take off clothing," right? And same thing with pregnancy in the third trimester. We see a similar change where, like, I believe women prefer almost a 7 to 8 degree Fahrenheit cooler room temperature
Oh,
than
really?
Wow,
Oh,
that's
that's true.
funny.
Yeah.
it's huge, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So, we see this
that's
throughout the
funny.
women's lifespan that temperature regulation plays a key role.
That's funny.
And what about differences between men and women?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually see I'll tie that back to sleep. So we actually see that or just in general, women have slightly cooler body temperatures than men, and this is largely attributed to our slower metabolic rate. And so women often prefer warmer temperatures because of that. So men and women want to be at similar body temperatures, but because women have a cooler temperature to begin with, they need warmer room temperatures than men. This is not true for menopause, but
Okay.
in
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
general,
but in
Okay. Yeah.
general, that's
yeah.
it's really interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
in general, and especially during sleep, men and women prefer similar body temperatures during sleep, but women need a warmer temperature to get there compared to men.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, like, just for myself, like, I need the room to be really cold for
Yes.
me to go to sleep.
Yes.
You're a woman
Yeah.
of a certain age. That's why.
Well, yeah.
Yes, and we
Well
actually
past it.
yeah, we actually have, data we haven't shared yet, but we looked at women, we surveyed them and just asked them, like, "Are you menopausal? Are you premenopausal? Are you on birth control or not?" It was really interesting. We have this, like, beautiful graph where we see that, postmenopausal women use the coldest temperatures on our pod, and
Yeah.
then women on birth control use the warmest temperatures.
Wow.
So yeah, so, like, these hormones are directly affecting the temperatures you need during
For
sleep
lack
and
of
your
it.
body temperature in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens physiologically to us when we don't? I just want to go back to sleep again.
Yeah.
When our sleep temperature isn't optimal, what is going on in our bodies?
Yeah, so the body likes to maintain, again, that really narrow range, but in sleep, it's even more narrow. And so you prefer like a 2 Celsius or 4 Fahrenheit skin temperature range, which is really small. And so if you deviate outside of that, it'll wake you up. There's also research showing that you get less deep sleep, less REM sleep if you're too hot. You also, which leads to less total sleep. So that combined with more awakenings leads to poor sleep if you are going outside of that temperature range.
Okay. Huh.
God, wow. Um, So, I mean, I guess you've kind of said this, like, what are like some of the misconceptions like people have, it's like, um, about that and the temperature, because I think there's a lot of that also going around.
Yeah. I think there's 2 that maybe pop up, but I'd love for you guys to ask any questions you have, like truth or myth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's one about like you said, you like cooler temperatures when you're falling
Right.
asleep. There's actually research showing, and you might have seen this, of like a warm bath before bed or wearing socks before bed. And it's actually shown. So what happens is when your body's getting ready to fall asleep, your core temperature is dropping, and that helps get you into deep sleep. And in order to decrease your core temperature, you need to warm your hands and feet because it helps send blood to your hands and feet and therefore decrease the temperature
Or
inside your core.
temperature, right?
So that helps you fall asleep faster. So yes, you do need a cooler temperature when you're sleeping, but to fall asleep, typically the warmer
Yeah,
temperatures are
warmer
going
one.
to help. Yeah.
So a warm bath or shower is recommended before
And
sleep. Okay.
well, it's everyone. I get made fun of. I wear socks. I need to wear socks when I
Yes.
sleep.
Yes.
And so, which I get a little
So
flack.
weird.
I know it's considered like weird, which I don't know why. I just don't. I just like need socks, and so I.
Don't you get hotter with the socks on?
No, that's what I was going to ask. It's like I kind of need but it sounds like I need the socks to fall asleep.
I guess
Maybe that's
you
why
do.
I fall asleep so quick.
Oh,
Yes.
maybe I should start wearing socks.
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
I see. I feel very trapped in socks. I like to. I don't. I feel very trapped.
You need like a foot warmer then. Just
Yeah.
I don't know what I need. I
Very
need some
trapped.
psychological help. Is what I need.
Well, there's
But-
that too. That's so funny.
I want to talk about the sleep stages. You mentioned
Mhm.
deep sleep and REM
Right.
sleep. So, how does temperature impact these sleep stages, and like how does it influence deep sleep versus REM sleep, and where should we be in those different stages of sleep?
Yeah, and this is something I didn't know until I joined the company and started researching it. And it's real. I find it really interesting. So there's 4 sleep stages for people who aren't familiar with it. So there's wake, which you're just awake at night. There's light sleep, which is typically the majority of your night. So about 50 to 60% of your night is light sleep. And then you have deep sleep, which is your most restorative sleep stage. And then you have REM sleep, where you typically remember most of your dreams. You actually can dream in other sleep stages, but they don't tend to be as vivid. So those are the 4 sleep stages. What research has shown is that typically in the first half of the night, when your core temperature is dropping, so we kind of get this U shape of core temperature throughout the day, and that's our circadian rhythm. So it's this internal clock that your body has, and your core temperature, as it decreases, that's when you get most of your deep sleep, that restorative sleep, and that happens in the first half of the night. And so to promote that, there's our research and other research showing that if you have cooler mattress temperatures or room temperatures in that first half of the night, you can promote more deep sleep. And then in the second half of the night, before you're starting to wake up, your core temperature goes up, and that's when you get most of your REM sleep. And so having a warmer temperature can support REM sleep. And that's why typically, if also you set your like thermostat really cold in your room, you might wake up closer to like in the morning, early stages of the morning, you're like too cold. That's because your body temperature is naturally going up. And so to support that, you'd want the room to get warmer or your mattress to get warmer.
Wow.
That makes so much sense because
Yeah.
we both track our sleep using the Aura, and I do look at my temperature, and a lot of times, like I don't get a lot of deep sleep apparently, according to my ring. I don't know how accurate it is, but I do notice my temperature. It'll always say like your
body
temperature
was
dropped
elevated,
late
yeah.
last night. Like it's not
Oh, okay.
dropping in the early part of my sleep. So, which I guess is why I can't fall asleep, and then I
Yeah.
don't get into like
Yeah.
a deep sleep.
Yeah. You need those
So,
socks.
what do I do? I
need socks.
I need the socks.
I feel seen. I feel seen, Nicole.
I wear
still feel
socks too,
seen.
so I'm with you on that.
Oh, see?
I just don't get
Love
it.
a sock.
It's
And
like,
I have socks that are just for sleeping.
would you wear like mittens to bed?
Well, in the winter sometimes I do
You wear
because it
No,
keeps
you
my
don't.
I don't wear mittens, but I've worn socks on my hands.
It's the same thing as mittens. It's the same thing as mittens without the thumb hole.
But I wear them because my skin gets so dry.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, do you do it with like
Yes.
lotion inside it?
Yes.
Oh, wait. Okay, we're gonna talk about that offline.
You
I
could
do
do
that
a
in the
warm
winter.
bath or a shower. You could do
Yeah.
that before
But
before
um
bed.
but this is the thing, like I actually, like last night, then the night before, I've been very tired and I get up very early in the morning and I go to bed too late. So I have very little sleep and I usually have a lot of white, like I wake up, but I do find myself like getting hot, you kick off the covers, then I'm freezing, I put them back. I mean, a lot of that happens. So what is that? And then your body is obviously waking up every time you're getting too warm. It's like, oh, it must be time to get up. Is that what it's saying?
Yeah. Well, so I said you get most of your deep sleep in the first half of the night and most of your REM in the second half, but what we're really doing is cycling through all of those sleep stages every 90 minutes. So we have 4 to 6 sleep cycles that are like 90 minutes to 2 hours in length, and we're going through deep REM, light, wake throughout those cycles. And so we need our temperature essentially regulated at each of those points, because our skin temperatures are warmer actually during REM sleep than deep sleep. So, not a plug for our mattress, but we have, through the research, decided to regulate temperature based on the sleep stage that you're in real time, and we find that this really helps people. So we detect that someone's in REM sleep, and we'll warm the bed slightly, and when they're in deep sleep, we'll cool it, to minimize the wake ups that you're talking about in, like, these cycles. Um, but the other thing that's like sort of a fun fact that a lot of people don't think about. So in REM sleep, you might have had these dreams where you're like being chased and you feel like you're so slow. I don't know. I have these and they drive me nuts because you're like, I can't get away. Why can't I run? I'm not this slow in real life. And it's because your body is paralyzed during REM sleep. Your muscles are like you basically can't move in REM sleep. And so that's why you're so slow. But another artifact of that is that your temperature regulation system is essentially impaired and in REM sleep as well. And so this is why you're more sensitive to temperature changes during REM sleep versus deep sleep.
Because your
Body
body wants to move?
No, because your body
You
can't, and
can't
your
move.
your
Oh,
like your temperature regulation system is also inhibited to a large
wow.
extent. So you sweat less during REM sleep, and you start sweating at a higher temperature. So you wake up more easily from temperature changes.
Okay, so I need to know
Wow.
what does that research look like? Like what does the actual study look like? What are you doing to people while they're sleeping to
Make them sweat
to make them sweat or no, to
and not feel paralyzed.
I guess, how does the technology work, but also what does the research look like?
So we haven't actually done this research, but I'm talking about other people that have done this, and they put people in these tube-lined suits. So it's like a pair of pants and a jacket that have tubes running through it, and they connect it to a water hose. And they change the temperature of the water flowing through the suit, and that in turn changes your body temperature. And so you can change that temperature to see and of course you record people's body temperatures at the time while you're doing that, and then you can see when does somebody start sweating. You can also measure sweat rate during sleep, so you can see like at what temperature do they start sweating, how much do they sweat, and you can manipulate that during their sleep.
So, I mean, just speaking, like when I was going through, we started this podcast a little too late for me to take advantage of all the things that we've learned. But when I was in perimenopause and, after menopause, but mostly before, I had terrible hot flashes, like day in the day and the night. Like we would
Yeah.
sit at a dinner, sweatshirt on, sweatshirt off. I'm cold, then I'm hot, I'm sweating. Oh my God. I mean, I have a friend at work who walks around with one of those fans around her neck. Dana, if you're listening. And and so, so I used to have terrible night sweats.
Yeah.
And so how do you regulate? That's a whole other thing that's happening in your body that's not even your body. Like what is that? Is that part of any research as well? It must be.
Yeah, so that's going back to like what I mentioned where that thermostat in your brain is narrowing.
Wow, it's out of whack.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
during
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
menopause. And so
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons. There's also these neurons in your brain, these cells in your brain that are really sensitive to temperature, and they also help with the heat dissipation
Yeah.
pathway,
Mhm.
like getting rid
Wow.
of body heat. And those neurons essentially like overgrow and become more sensitive during menopause.
Wow.
And so the
Oy.
activation of those also triggers hot
Right.
flashes. So they're actually looking at therapies right now to target those specific neurons and kind of shut them off, which would
Really?
be a non-hormonal
Wow.
way to
Yeah.
reduce hot flashes. So
I'll
that's
say.
exciting. Um, But yeah, with our we have done a study, in 38 menopausal women, and we actually found we had them sleep with and without our temperature regulated mattress cover for 1 week, and each 1 week, and then we found that their hot flashes were reduced by 55% just by sleeping on the temperature regulated mattress. So, we believe this is because we're cooling helping to cool their body temperatures and keep them more in that range where they're comfortable versus these fluctuations outside of it. So we're doing a follow-up study now where we're actually measuring core temperature throughout the night and skin temperatures to corroborate if that's in fact true.
Do you need a
Wow.
couple of study
I was
participants?
going to say,
Yes.
we have some volunteers.
Yes.
We're
We
Volunteers.
happy
love
to
that.
volunteer.
Yeah.
So with 8 sleep then, so
Mhm.
we're talking about the circadian rhythms, and obviously everyone is different, and you're when you're waking up and you're getting too warm and all of that. So how does the mattress pad lower or raise your temperature, but not maybe the person that you're sleeping
Right.
with?
Yeah, so we have 2 separate sides of the bed essentially. So each side can have separate temperatures on the bed. So we are changing things only specific to your side, and then we have sensors across the mattress cover that can detect heart rate variability, breathing rate, and those give us the sleep stage that you're in. And so then from that, we can modify temperature in real time based on the sleep stage that you're in.
That
That's
is crazy.
that's amazing. And what
Yeah.
about if you sleep with dogs? Do you
Yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah.
There's a lot of people that do that, and
Yeah.
I will be honest, it makes it pretty tricky for us,
Sure.
because we can
Yeah.
detect the dog's heartbeat too often.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting, and I we that's a study we're curious about doing is seeing how sleeping with a pet impacts your sleep.
Well, it's funny. Kelly Ripa and her husband Mark have a few of your 8 sleep mattresses, and when their dog Chewy was alive, she snored, and it would measure Chewy's snoring versus Mark snoring, which I thought was like kind of like it was definitely picking up the dog. It wasn't him. That
That's
was so
really
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Um, so what was the inspiration then behind having this? I don't know if it's called a hot flash feature or if it's,
Yeah. So we kept getting just women writing into us, menopausal women saying like the pod has really helped my basically changed my life in menopause by helping to reduce hot flashes. I'm finally sleeping better through the night. I'm getting restful sleep. I feel like a different person because I'm sleeping better. And they were like, they gave us ideas. They were like, it would be great if it knew when I was having a hot flash. And that would be great. Right now, it's a manual process that you activate. So when you wake up, you can tap the side of the bed, push a button, or use the app to immediately cool you down. And we rapidly cool you for a preset period of time, and then we'll rewarm you to help you fall back asleep. Because a lot of women said, okay, whatever I go do, put cold towels, this, that. Now I'm freezing because I'm like drenched in sweat, shivering, and I can't fall back asleep. Now I'm too cold. And so we rapidly cool people and then gradually rewarm them. Um, and it would be great to automate it. This is really, really difficult to do though. We a lot of the changes physiologically before a hot flash occurs happen about 10 to 30 seconds before a hot flash occurs. So it's a really short time period to be able to detect those changes. Yeah. So like and on top of that, a lot of the things that we would detect physiologically might not always be related to a hot flash. Or sometimes women report a hot flash and we don't see any changes physiologically, like we don't see an increase in core temperature, or we see very minimal changes in skin temperature, but women report having a hot flash. So I think there's still a lot to be figured out there to be able to automate that process fast enough to help.
Well, I do believe that about because when I used to get hot flashes, they would come on like instantly. Like there was
Like
no
out of nowhere?
warning. There was
Yeah.
no warning. I mean, now it still happens to me on occasion when am stressed or like I know the triggers for it. Before it was like catch as catch can. It was like whenever. But now it's like there's certain things that happen. Either I'm nervous or I'm this or I'm that. and then it like kind of comes on. I think I feel like I'm having one right now, truthfully. I'm not just saying that.
Oh, no.
I feel like all of a sudden I was like, I feel like I feel it alive. And I was like, I haven't had a hot flash in a little while, but I'm
Are
like
you
having one
nervous?
now.
Are you
I don't
nervous
know. Am I
talking about
nervous?
hot
Maybe
flashes?
I am.
So
That is so funny.
I just have a question about. So I never had a hot flash.
She's the bane of my
I
existence.
know.
I just want
But
to
no,
say.
I've never had one like awake and going about my day, but I do have night sweats. Is there a difference between night sweats and hot flashes? Like, I feel like and I said this before we got on, like I've been sweating at night my whole life. I mean, it's definitely gotten probably more intense, like as I fluctuate like through this perimenopause kind of phase. And like you said, I sweat so much that I'm freezing. But is there a difference between the two?
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone's explored the etiology of like hot flashes
Yeah.
versus night sweats and how people are defining them, right? Like you're defining it night sweats because it's not sudden. I'm guessing you wake up in a pool of sweat
Yes.
typically.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it could be a hot flash and maybe you
It's just happening at night.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But men also get them. So we see that with men too, as their testosterone is decreasing, they'll get hot flashes. Or as people are going through chemotherapy, they get hot flashes or night sweats. And I don't know that we know the answer to what is differentiating those two processes.
How are you seeing the differences in how people are feeling about their energy levels and their cognitive ability and things like that after?
Yeah, so we did a study on cognition actually and looked at people sleeping with and without the pod and their cognitive ability the next day. And we did see improvements in executive function and so like processing speed and reaction time. Um, so it was help, and that was just after 2 days of using it. So it is the improvements in sleep do impact cognition, and there's other research showing that as well. We do see generally people report more energy. They also report less like troublesome thoughts about insomnia or like being able to sleep. So we see a lot of like behavior change after people start to use the pod. I think part of it could be the awareness of like seeing their data in the app, right? Like you were talking about with your Aura Ring, where like, oh, I see my data now. I'm aware of what I'm doing, and so I can like go to bed on time or wake up on time, and I'm aware of how my behaviors impact my sleep.
Yeah, that's so helpful. I think
Yeah.
that's so important to, because I think people, me,
Yeah.
have like sleep anxiety sometimes. Like I'm afraid, I'm so worried. Okay, I'm going to go to bed now. Is it going to be 20 minutes before I fall asleep, or is it going to be 2 hours? Like
Right.
I have all this, but I think if you had the 8 sleep and you knew going into
Right.
it, you're going to have a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
It takes all that anxiety away.
Yes, yes,
Ugh.
exactly.
I'm just thinking about
I
how much
know,
light is
dark,
in the
yeah.
room.
That also, yeah, like
Yeah.
as that was interesting when I read about that. It's light as small as a nightlight
Yeah.
can actually impact your sleep.
Yeah.
So it's
Wow.
not a like a large amount of light. It's pretty minor.
I have a neighbor. So we live in New York City, and the buildings are quite close to each other. And so I have a neighbor who the entire night has a light on. I don't know if it's his kitchen or his bedroom or whatever it
wow.
is. The light is on the
Yeah.
entire night. And I was just saying, like, we need to get those blackening
blackout shades, I
blackout
know.
shades or whatever, which are
Yeah.
so ugly.
Yeah.
But I'm
They
wondering,
really work though.
like, if I had an 8 sleep, though, would it not even bother me that the light is coming in,
So
or
you-
would I just be so soundly sleeping like
like
Snow
a little
White?
babe, like a little babe in the woods.
I want to sleep like Snow White. But no, I mean, that's not really a question. It's just an observation, that I do wake up during the night from that light shining into the window, and it's really
Oh my
annoying.
God.
I wish I could figure out what floor that guy lives on and go knock on his door.
That being said, without without the 8 sleep mattress, what are some things that people can do like right now to help like improve their sleep at night?
Yeah, so there's research, there's all kinds of things, and you have to trial and error and see what works for you. One of the biggest things, like I said, is trying to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. That sleep regularity is really important, and the reason for that is because your circadian rhythm, your core temperature, is doing that cyclical change. And so if you stay up even like an hour or two later than normal, your core body temperature is still going to drop at the same time. It like is agnostic to when you actually fall asleep. It's like, this is my rhythm. I'm going to follow this. And so you will miss a good chunk of your deep sleep. if
Is
you
that
are
why I fall asleep watching TV on the couch?
could
Yeah.
be, could
Yeah.
be. Yeah, but that's also why like jet lag, for example,
Yeah.
you might feel shivers or chills when you're trying to stay up past your normal bedtime.
Oh, yes, of course.
And that's because your core temperature is dropping like its normal way, and you're trying to stay up and push past that. So that's one thing. Another is there's research showing that if you just write down all the things you have to do tomorrow and take 5 minutes to write your to do list, that will improve your ability to fall asleep faster. Um, so that's one thing to try. You can try like the warm bath or hot shower within an hour of going to sleep. I'm trying to think what else. Keeping the environment dark, trying to have a routine that you follow every night. I think most people are familiar with a lot of these.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's just
totally.
doing them. It's
It's
a
just
matter of like
totally,
actually
totally.
doing them. I do find that like I have like a nighttime routine for my skin, and I find that it wakes me up because I'm like,
Yeah,
it's so long.
I
This
know.
routine is like washing my face, putting on the cleanser, putting on the serum, waiting for the serum to dry, putting on the look. It's like, oh my God,
My
maybe
God.
that's why I'm not.
Yeah.
But just going back for a second, what you said about jet lag, is that like, we've talked to some sleep experts also that talk about your chronotype, and sometimes I'll see like in my sleep score that my I don't know, I wasn't the midpoint of my sleep was off of my chronotype. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, good question. So your chronotype, it's thought that it's generally genetic. And this is your like body's natural rhythm in terms of are you a morning person, are you a late night person, or there's another type called intermediate, where you're kind of a mix of both and you can swing either direction, but your optimal time is like the middle of the day. So knowing that helps you plan your exercise, your workouts, your focus time, your like deep cognitive work. So early morning people are best in the morning. They're like early risers. They feel sharpest in the morning. If you try to get them to work at night, they're like, my brain is not functioning. And then the late night people are the opposite of that. And then, like I mentioned, the intermediate are in the middle. Um, and so the way that that's calculated is by if you were like free living, meaning you didn't have to set any alarm or be anywhere for work, that's really the days that you want to look at. And you're not sleep deprived, I should also add, right? What is your natural schedule that you would fall into? And so we look at when you go to bed and when you wake up, and we basically find the midpoint or the halfway point of that. And that tells us whether you're an early morning person, intermediate, or late night. And yeah, so people who have like a midpoint before 3 a.m., they tend to be like an earlier morning or early chronotype. And then it's debated what the cutoff is, but 3 to 5 a.m. midpoint would be intermediate. And then after 5 a.m. would be. So after 5 a.m., if you got 8 hours of sleep, that means you're going to bed around 1 a.m. and waking up at 9 a.m., right? Because halfway is 5 a.m. or later. So that's like the late night
How
chronotype.
many
Huh.
days would you have to do that to kind of get your body into its natural rhythm?
What people typically do is you would take your weekdays midpoint and then you would take your weekend because it's assumed if you work a normal Monday to Friday job, your weekend would be your free living, no setting of alarm, which is not true for for a majority of people. And you could correct that by knowing what their weekend is. But to answer your question, I would expect you'd probably want a couple days. In general, we find roughly 30 days. I think this is what Aura uses too, is 30 days is a good time frame to look at to get a good estimate of your chronotype. But there's also quizzes online that you could take. And
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
done
yeah. We've
that.
done that.
We
We've
have
done
done
yeah,
that.
that. But it's funny because I'm in a position right now where like I'm off from work for a little while, like a
mhm,
rigors of
Oh
a
yeah,
daily
for the whole
grind.
month.
I have like a whole month to kind of explore that. I get up, I set an alarm because I need to get the dogs to Central Park before 9 because they're allowed off the leash then. That's like
That's your
that's
motivation.
my motivation for getting up early as much as I don't want to. And when I do have to go to work, I get up at, 4:45. And I don't want to do that. Every time someone says you have to get up the same time every day, and I think about what that is for me, I'm like, ugh, no.
Hmm.
But I should do that because I think I would be more awake in
I
the
don't
yeah.
end.
know. I think
It's hard because if you're like a later chronotype, which you might be, right? Like you're
Yeah,
forced into
right.
an early one, and that's not optimal for you
Yeah,
or your rhythm. And
right.
I think what's interesting too is if people take that quiz or they find out through a wearable what their chronotype is and they're
Yeah.
like, that doesn't seem right for me,
Yeah.
then it's likely you're living on the wrong time
On the
schedule
wrong
for
time
your
schedule.
body, right? Like
Definitely am. I've been living on it for a long time. I've been living on this for a long time.
You're going against your natural rhythm.
I am. I mean, I do find like if I were left to my own devices, I wake up around 7.
Mhm.
You know, that's
Yeah.
like a normal regular. That's like the time I could wake up where I don't feel like I'm like groggy. You know, it's like which is a full 2 hours after the time I actually get
It's
up.
the time that I
Right.
wake up.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I have
There's
this.
really interesting studies too where they take people out away from, a lot of it is thought to be like chronotypes aren't actually true, and they've I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there's some studies where they take people out into the wilderness with no artificial lighting of a city or your house or anything, and what they find is over a couple days everyone's pretty much the same chronotype plus or minus
Oh,
1
that's
hour.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah. And so everyone tends to go to sleep between 9 and 10 and then wake up between 6 and 7. And so that's like the natural chronotype really for most people. But because of artificial lighting and technology and everything, we've kind of shifted into these three.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think as much as you try to not, watch TV before bed or be on your phone or on your computer and all those things, I mean, people just do that, and I actually find that sometimes the TV being on helps me to go to sleep.
Me too. Me too.
But the phone I am definitely very sensitive to that. And like,
Yeah.
I have everything is silenced as she, hates, but
I
everything is
don't
always
enjoy it,
silenced,
but yeah.
even during the day. But
you've whipped me into shape on that. I really don't bother you
no,
anymore.
yeah, I guess you don't. Well, you know that I'm not going to respond.
Yeah.
But for people who like have all those notifications on and those buzzes and those dings and those, I mean, that's got to be so disruptive
Yeah.
to your sleep. Even if you're not consciously waking up, it's like your body knows. I feel like you're getting those like cortisol spikes all throughout the night, and it's like so bad.
Yes.
So
yes.
bad.
And that's the interesting debate with, like, I don't know if you've been following the blue light debate, but
Yeah.
it's continuing to be conflicted. And the interesting part of blue light from your phone is when they look at it, a lot of it is driven by content that's actually causing people to stay up longer, the content
Yes,
on
the
your phone
content
versus
of
the
it.
actual
Versus
blue
the
light
light.
itself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so when you wear blue light blocking glasses, also the content is less appealing. So when they try to do that in a study and control for it, people just don't use their phone as
Yeah.
much because they're like, it's not
Wow.
appealing to me. So
Yeah.
it's hard to control for that, actually.
So maybe you should wear blue light glasses all the time. That
But
would
also,
solve that problem.
but also, do you find that with all of these wearable devices, like I could wake up before I've looked at it, and I think, oh my God, that was a great night's sleep. And then I look at the data and I woke up like 57 times and it's, and I was like, I don't even remember that. Like how accurate, like you said, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, now I feel like I had a miserable night. Like it'll change my whole
Yeah.
being. Like how do you, it's like, where's the medium? Is there like a medium? Is like some of that right and some of the wearable not right?
Isn't there a term for that? Like people that
Yeah.
get obsessed with looking at their data. There's some kind of term for it. I don't know. I forget
I'm
what it
definitely
is,
guilty
but
of that, for
Anyway.
sure.
For a biohacker. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. No, I totally know what you mean. And I think this is what's been interesting in the sleep field is there's still not a good definition of what is good sleep quality. What does that mean?
Wow.
And so even if you talk to the experts in sleep, they're like, yeah, we have an objective definition of good sleep quality. You need 20% of deep sleep, 20% of REM sleep, right? But then if you match that with the subjective ratings, the relationship is pretty poor. It's at best, it's like 80% matching, but typically it's like 50-60% matching of what people perceive versus how we measure it. And so I actually think because this is still a really new field, sleep research in general, I think we're going to see over the next decade a paradigm shift of how we define good quality sleep. And I do think we should trust ourselves more of what we feel is good quality sleep. And I think the science is going to catch up to that. And we're going to find new ways to define good quality sleep. We just don't have those measurements yet.
The other thing that I love about 8 Sleep is that you are studying women. And
Yeah.
that's been such, an ignored even though we represent 50% of the population, it is largely ignored in research. And I've also heard that like even these wearables like the Aura and stuff, it's all based off of men's biometric data. It's not really, especially like menopause and premenopausal
Right.
women. It's really not accurate in tracking that is what I understand. I don't know how true that is, but I love that 8 Sleep is like has this focus on women. It's very cool.
Yeah, I agree
Thank
with
you.
that.
We're really excited about it. I think it's in a new area too of understanding how we can best support women during like while sleeping. And so, given the platform that we have, the temperature regulated mattress, and there are so many temperature issues throughout women's lives, depending on how the hormonal fluctuations, right? And so, we're really trying to hone in and understand all of that and support people to sleep better.
It's literally all we talk about. I have a group of college friends, and whenever we go to an Airbnb, it's always like a discussion of like, I'm too cold, I'm too hot, I'm always hot, I'm always this, I'm this, I'm that. I mean, it is the temperature, even more than the sleep, is a real like hot button issue for like definitely women of a certain age. I hate that. It's funny because sometimes I put it down so low that I'm like really cold when I go to sleep, but I feel like in the end that's better because then I'll wake up
And then you have
less.
those socks on. So
And I got the socks.
Yeah.
Got the socks.
so ridiculous. So just real quick before we let you go, is there anything like up and coming, anything new on the horizon that you want to talk about, whether it's sleep science or wearables?
I'm really excited to sort of unfold all the different temperature regulation things that we're seeing in our data and further explain that and understand that. So, like I mentioned, we see that postmenopausal women sleep the coolest of all women in different life stages. And then after them is pregnant women in their third trimester. They have like the next coldest temperatures, but postmenopausal women are colder than them when sleeping on the pod. And then we have like the women on birth control that are sleeping warmer. And I don't know that we understand that fully of like why are women on birth control needing warmer temperatures. What's also interesting is that we are able to track all the sleep stages and sleep metrics. And so we've seen in our data too that postmenopausal women have much worse sleep than premenopausal women. But if we look at those postmenopausal women compared to men of a similar age, they actually have better sleep than men at that age. Yeah.
Really?
And
Wow.
so this is kind of matched in the research. The research keeps showing that postmenopausal women's sleep is not worse than men of a similar age. And so what I'm starting to think is that it's just women comparing themselves to how they used to sleep when
Yes.
they were
Right.
you know.
I know.
I mean, that's a good control
Totally.
group to have.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, God, I don't know. I feel like my boyfriend, his head hits the pillow.
He's out.
He is out and wakes up at the same time every day. And he wakes up like the alarm goes off. And I don't know about you, but like my alarm goes off and I'm hitting snooze at least twice. And I know that's not good, but it's what I do. And his alarm will go off and he will get up and turn it off and go in the shower. Like immediately go in the shower. I'm like, what? How
I'm
are
like
you
that
awake?
though. I'm like
Oh
that
my
though.
God, I am terrible.
I mean, I'm like that sort of. I mean, my intention is to get up and do a workout, but that's at 4:15, and then I can't do that, and then I sleep for another half an hour. But when the alarm goes off at 4:45, I'm out. I'm up.
You're up.
I'm up and out. Yeah, because I don't have time. Because you know how, that's a whole other podcast.
That's a
Nicole.
whole other
That's a
thing.
whole
She
other
doesn't have
podcast.
time. Meanwhile, guess what, Nicole? She has two
2
full
hours.
hours before she has to be out of the house.
Not really true, but
2 full hours. Yeah.
You like a slow morning. I
I
understand.
like a slow morning. I
Oh,
have the
she sure does. She
dogs,
likes
I
to
have-
slow everything. Slow everything. Laura, you ready to go? I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay.
That is not fair.
Oh my God, it's so true though. It's so true. It's like
true.
you just like to take your time and I mean, I still and I've slept over here countless times. I still can't figure out what she does in the morning.
I don't know what I do, but I am
It's
so
like a-
timed. I'm timed to the minute.
You are.
And I can't divert. I can't change the time. I can't go faster. I've tried to like cut it down. I lay out my clothes. I do this. Like I do all the things to shave it down. It's still the same amount of time.
It's insane, is what it is. It's really
It's like
crazy.
a rabbit hole, right? You do and then what about this? And then before you
yeah.
start, an hour's passed.
I think that you need to study her because it's like It defies logic. It all defies all logic. Anyway,
anyway.
this was great.
Yeah,
this was
thanks
so much fun. Thank you for being here. Anything
Nicole,
else?
yeah, is there anything? And so I guess we could find this at 8sleep and
8sleep.com.
like where do I 8sleep.com?
Yeah.
So
we're on all the regular social media channels as well.
Yeah.
Great.
So thanks so much for being here. We really enjoyed chatting with you.
Thanks for having me.
From 8sleep. Take care. I have to say, you know what I took away?
What?
It's great I wear socks to bed.
Slocks?
Socks. It's great I wear socks to bed. That's all I'm saying. I've been made fun of countless times.
I know, but I guess
by many people.
You didn't even know why you were doing it, but now
I have a purpose. Now I think everyone should be wearing socks because they'll fall asleep quicker.
I want to know if anyone else is like me, where you feel trapped in the socks. Like, I feel like my toes.
And I feel very like unsettled when I feel my feet on the sheets. But you know what I didn't say to her that I wish I had now is that there's nothing I love more than getting into bed
cold
with
sheets.
Cold, clean,
oh my God.
sheets.
Love it.
It's the best.
I love it.
Like literally
well, that's why,
the best
I
feeling.
like to have my feet like feeling.
Yeah,
the
I don't like
sheets.
my feet. I like my feet constricted in socks.
So weird, but I guess I don't know.
But that's really super interesting, like because it really those two topics, your body temperature
and sleep,
is literally what everyone talks about all the time.
Yeah, and they've got it all together.
Yeah,
they're figuring it out, which is very cool. She was great. She's so smart.
I know.
I love a scientist. You know, like I want to know like. How do you measure this? Do you hook, and that was cool. She explained how they
she had
hook
like the
people
studies
up.
that kind of like back all that stuff up, and that they're really studying how this affects, and that they're really studying women, and how that affects them, and realizing that there was a need for this hot flash technology.
Definitely a need. But I even think like aside from just like even just the night, if you're a person that's hot at night,
I
like
had terrible nights. I used to have terrible night sweats.
I get them every so often, but it does still coincide with my cycle. That's very irregular right now, but it coincides with that.
I had them back in a time when I didn't really know what was happening to me. It was like way before we ever
talked about any of
this stuff or anyone talked about any of this stuff.
True.
And
now everyone's
talking about it. So true. And yeah, it's just, I mean, like I would be drenched.
Yeah, I get that sometimes too. Like I have to change my shirt.
Yeah, that's what I would have to
or
do.
my pajamas or whatever. But so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
so hope you guys like that too and get a good night's sleep.
Go get yourself an 8sleep.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the dream.
That's a dream.
It's a dream in so many ways.
It's a dream in so many ways.
Anyway. I'm dreaming about an 8sleep, and I want to be sleeping on
right
an
now.
8sleep.
Anyway, we hope you like that one too. I'm Lori Schulweiss.
And I'm Jen Giamo.
This was Everybody Talks.
Talk to you next time.
Take care.
For more information about our podcast, to learn more about us, or to catch up on all of our episodes, go to our website at every.body.talks.com.
Follow us on Instagram at Shirley, at Jen Giamo, and at Everybody Talks. And if you want to watch today's episode, go to our YouTube channel at Everybody Talks Podcast.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, join the Everybody Talks community and become an exclusive member of our wellness group. Check out the link in our show notes to learn more.
Don't forget, if you like what you've heard, give us a 5-star rating, write a review, and tell a friend. We're for everybody and everybody. The Everybody Talks podcast is co-created, executive produced, and hosted by us, Lori Schulweiss and Jen Giamo. Produced and edited by Station 16.
Our theme song music is written and performed by Jackie Ryle and Aaron Navisi, with additional support from our pups, Oliver, Milo, Murray, and Frankie.
Talk to you next time.